I don't really have to look for material. There's just so much going on in this country. So I really had a difficult time today at the dog beach. Shiva again went to the religious beach, and then I started to question, why is there a religious beach? Why is there a separation? What are we, Iran? It was Women's Day, luckily, but there were like 3 women, and then the guy in the loudspeaker was the trigger. He was like, get the dog out of here fast. Like he was commanding me, and then I had a trigger, and I said, what the hell? Why do I need this religious beach? I went to this, I won't say stupid, but I went to the army, I served in the army, I give to my country, I contribute, I work with kids. What the hell can I do more? And then because of this stupid separate beach, I mean, what does it matter to a religious woman if she's sitting here or she's sitting behind a fence? I mean, what are we, Iran? Honestly, I do resent the separation of men and women based on religious ideology. I don't really believe in it, to be honest. There I am, being really angry about it and thinking about it, and then of course God gives me, or the universe gives me, an experience. I run into a woman from the Midwest, a Trump supporter, and not that I'm not a Trump supporter on some level, because I do believe that Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine if Trump was there. But that's sidetracking. The woman said, can I bless you? I was really feeling upset. She hugged me and I started to cry. But why I cried was not because of Jesus. It was because it's been such a long time since somebody was kind to me, since somebody hugged me and wanted to do something for me. Of course she had an agenda, and then she prayed for me in the name of Jesus, blah, 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 blah. And then I had to watch this Larry King episode where he interrupts a baptism because he thinks the man is drowning. And then there's a whole controversy about whether Jews should be baptized, if he doesn't want to get baptized. Look, I was married to a Christian. He was very, very Christian again around Christmas time when he came to Santa Claus. He believed in Santa Claus. He didn't believe in Jesus. So I had to listen to this Christmas songs for like 2 months. Had a whole playlist of Christmas songs, and let me tell you, it starts in November and it continues. In Europe we don't have Thanksgiving, so from Halloween onwards it's just Christmas songs. And we never had a Christmas tree because he was Dutch and he was cheap. But you know what, I did everything to put my kids in Jewish school, and part of the reason was a man like that. I just wanted them to stay away from Santa Claus. And the whole idea of getting presents, it just disgusted me pretty much. That you just get presents just because it's Christmas and Jesus was born. When Jesus, in fact, was supposed to be the man who said the meek shall inherit the earth. And the whole church establishment that grew out of Christianity just makes me want to barf. But let's be honest, all organized religion has become a huge business. Whether it's Orthodox Judaism with all their business and their kosher hotels and the whole idea of kosher, where they slaughter animals. Instead of being a vegetarian or a vegan, I'm now finding myself as a born-again vegan. I just had a horrible night with milk. Dairy products is the worst. Trust me, be a vegan. That's the best religion ever because it makes sense. Animals are not here for us to eat their bodies. What I wanted to say, if she took a Muslim person, this is one respect I have for the Islam, which I actually am against all its political aspects and the whole killing in the name of Allah. But one thing, you take a Muslim and try to baptize them, you got another thing coming. They wouldn't let the woman say one word. They're very proud of who they are. That's great, but if you're Muslim and happen to be watching this, or you know somebody, try to influence them to stop killing in the name of Allah, because I don't believe a creating force in the universe wants us to kill each other. And of course I have to end with this week. We had this terror attack in Ariel, and which is officially a territory or whatever, occupied territory it's supposed to be, I don't know. I don't really believe in occupied territories. I mean, because we're here for a reason. But having said that, it's so sad that a 19-year-old young man who looks pretty good, he looks healthy. His father died of cancer 3 years ago. I don't know, the Israeli TV gives all the information. So we know and feel sorry for him, which I don't. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for his mother. I mean, the guy was 19. He just finished high school. He worked as a cleaner. It doesn't matter what you work in. You work, you earn a living. He started to build a house. And then all of a sudden he took a knife and attacked the security guy. And I definitely blame the Israeli security guy who didn't shoot him, but shot in the air. And it definitely goes back to the America and US, why Israeli security doesn't act. Because they're afraid of being taken to the UN for attacking back, for defending ourselves. So the guy shot you would think he would shoot the terrorist. He took a knife and attacked a security guy, but then he didn't shoot him. And the guy went on a murder spree, like horrible. And the Israeli TV said a creative car stealing, went on a car city, like he went on this car chase, stole cars, stabbed people. He didn't have a weapon, he didn't have a gun, but he had a knife and a lot of anger. And the guy just took down 3 grown men older than him. The oldest was 59, the youngest was 36. They were all fathers of children who will now be orphans the way he was. He didn't have a father. His father died of cancer. I can relate. My father died of cancer when I was young, and I didn't have a father. And he just went and killing people who are fathers to children. Why? In the name of what? And now, what I really am not happy about, now the whole village pays. This whole extended family can't go to work. His house is being torn down. His widow mother won't have a home. Do I feel sorry for her? I definitely do. Sorry to say it, but I do. I feel for her. I feel for every innocent person who's punished for this one guy's deed. They said he worked alone. No, he didn't work alone. The idea of killing people didn't just come to him in a dream. It comes from indoctrination. And where did it go? He probably went to the mosque and somebody said to him, kill Jews. Who else would have told him to kill Jews? So I'm really sorry that religion tells anyone to be violent. And I don't understand why this guy threw away his life. He's dead now. He's 19. He's dead. His mother has to bury him. And over in Jenin, I would call it not Palestine, Terrorstein. They're handing out candy. It's like Halloween every day there. They put masks on and they hand out candy and celebrate death. Halloween is every day in the Palestinian territories, or Terrorstein. Where are free thinkers there? We see that Iran, people are rising up to totalitarian Islam and saying enough is enough. We don't want people dead because they don't put on a head cover. And they kill people and execute them every day in Iran. And do you think that it's different in Terrorstein? Do you think the Palestinians are not executing? They didn't behead a man just because he's homosexual? They didn't do that? So you can say, oh, the Israelis are so bad, but here, people celebrate being gay. There's flags, there's everything, there's freedom. You know? You go to Terrorstein, you can't be yourself. You can't be a free thinker. You can't keep a dog. You're not allowed to keep a dog. Do you know that? I just spoke to 2 Arab men. I said, what do you think of dogs? They said, we're not allowed to keep them. They're not allowed to keep dogs. In fact, the mayor of Hebron, if those of you who weren't listening to my previous talks, he's paying 20 shekels for every dead dog. They film animal abuse. And let me tell you, this is where it starts. This is exactly where it starts. Where you abuse animals, you abuse human beings. And that's true for any religion. And I'm talking about my own religion as well, that I was born into. So I want to talk to you about a book, The Little Red Chairs by Edna O'Brien, who talks about the horrific civil war in Bosnia. And specifically about, this is a novel, but it's based on true facts, about a Serbian who murdered Muslim men in Bosnia and finally ended up in Den Haag. In Den Haag. I didn't get to that part yet, but the whole description of the violence of Serbians against Muslims, they kept them in concentration camps. And you know what? Nobody said anything. You know why? Jews weren't involved. So it's okay to execute Muslims in Bosnia, but it's not okay to, I don't know, to encourage them to murder, to lose their lives for stupid religious asshole ideas. You know who Den Haag should take to court? The Terrorstein, the leaders of the Palestinian territories, who encourage young men to murder other people and to end up dead, and bring horrific measurements upon themselves, because the Israeli authorities are clueless as to what to do, how to stop this. And it starts with religion, a false religion. Who told the Serbians to murder Muslims? Who told them to do that? Because they had this crazy idea that they have to do it in the name of their stupid religion. It's better to have no identity than an identity that tells you to kill other people. And as for this book, it's a must. It's a masterpiece. And there's a scene there that I will not quote, where there's animal abuse, horrific animal abuse, and horrific human abuse by Serbians against Muslims in Bosnia. These people did make it to Den Haag. But do you really think that Israel, the entire state of Israel, is like what the Serbians did to Muslims in Bosnia? Do we abuse them? They work here. They work here, everywhere. They're allowed to cover their heads. They're allowed to practice their religion freely. Why are we supposed to pay the price of anti-Semitism? Why in the hell are Jews not supposed to defend themselves? Do you know that our defense minister, you know who chooses our defense minister? The USA. A country that took over other people's land tells us we shouldn't live in our country. We shouldn't choose a defense minister because he's too extremist. So instead of it, we just have to be victims of terror. Because this is what it comes down to. Because if people are afraid to shoot a terrorist because they're afraid the police will arrest them and they'll end up in prison or in Den Haag for war crimes, then this is crazy. To defend yourself is not a war crime. What the Serbians did to the Muslims in Serbia, in Bosnia, is definitely a war crime. What people did in Lebanon to each other is a war crime. But what the Palestinians do every single day to dogs and human beings is a war crime. And they're the ones that should go to Den Haag. A person that tells young people or whatever that they're going to get money to murder dogs and they shoot them and leave them dying on the side of the road and they laugh and they film it, that's abuse. You teach people to be cruel and ruthless. And I don't think most of them are born psychopaths, but they're being taught to be psychopaths. You know, psychopaths is a psychological condition which is, people claim it's genetic, you can't control it, but I really believe in education when it comes to being violent. And the Halloween in Jenin and all these refugee camps in Terrorstein, where they hand out candy after 3 men are stabbed to death and one of them, he drove over him. I mean, this has got to stop. Halloween in the Terrorstein has to stop. And I don't know how many people I can influence with this talk because I don't have that many followers. I'm not Donald Trump. But I can tell you, what U.S. is doing is hypocrisy. What the UN is doing is hypocrisy. The U.S. invades every country it wants and kills as many citizens as it wants. But when it comes to Israel, we're not even allowed self-defense. And we're supposed to let Joe Biden decide who's going to be our Minister of Defense, which is disgraceful. So it's time to wake up and put a stop to this. We don't need Iran. We don't need fundamentalist religions telling us to kill each other. We need to coexist in peace. And we need to be kind to animals. And that's where it starts. The way you treat animals is the way you treat people. When you tell a person they're not allowed to keep a dog in their house because it's not clean, what the hell is wrong with those people? And sadly, fundamentalist Islam and fundamentalist Jews and Christians, they're basically the same. They don't mind starting wars just because their stupid religious leader told them to do it because he's too bored to get a real job. So he tells people what to do. And you know, if you're passionate enough, and violence is something that excites young men, especially young men, gets their adrenaline flow, then you get a lot of followers. But if you preach for peace, you don't get a lot. You know, there's not a big, long line to be a vegan. Why is that? Why is only one culture in the world choosing to be vegetarian and to have compassionate to animals, because most people are pretty stupid and they follow people that tell them to kill other people, to kill themselves, and it's really pretty sad. So yes, I will say it, even though a lot of Israelis won't agree. I do feel sorry for the mother of the guy who's dead now. I do feel sorry for his relatives who didn't do anything. They want to go to work. It's not their fault they have a crazy or misled person in their family. But this is the problem, that we don't know how to control this situation. It gets out of hand. And what we need the ability to defend ourselves. And we need to stop letting religious fundamentalists rule this world. Just be nice to people. Get a dog. Learn from dogs how to behave. Don't tell people that dogs are unholy and unclean. They're much nicer than most human beings. And if somebody tells me a dog is not clean, then don't listen to them. This is where it starts. We need to tell Muslim people to stop listening to stupid ideas. We need to tell Jewish people to stop listening to stupid ideas. Don't separate men and women. Teach them to respect each other. You're not teaching men and women to respect each other when you separate them. You can only teach them to respect each other when they're together. A woman shouldn't have to cover herself head to toe in order to gain respect from a man. Quite the opposite. And also the Christians, stop telling people what to do. Stop telling them not to get abortions when they don't have money and they're struggling or they're mentally ill. Stop doing that. Stop telling people how to abuse other people and how to abuse animals. Get a dog, for God's sakes. Get a cat and learn from animals how to be nice. Animals have much more self-control than most human beings. They don't go around murdering. This dog isn't going to go around killing just because somebody told him to kill. Although there are dogs that are taught and trained, but most dogs won't do it. Most dogs would not kill. And stop telling people to cover their head and put on shitty stuff and separate men and women, and stop telling them that their religion is better than the other. Just be human beings and be nice, and get a dog, for God's sakes, and stop telling people that dogs are unholy.